Alright guys, here it is, my first car, my 2001 Acura Integra LS. I'm making this video as a follow-up to another video I uploaded in 2014 about this car. I'll just be going over all of the changes I've made since then. And yeah, let's get started. Alright, so we're going to start at the back of the car and work our way forwards. The first thing you see here is a Password JDM or Technocraft Composites carbon fiber trunk finisher. I really like how it looks. It's a bit different in terms of modifications to Integras. Doesn't require drilling into the trunk, so I said, why not? Let me do it. I really didn't want to drill into my hatch. Taillights are still stock, but I'm working on some custom taillights. Not sure when I'll finish those. The lettering for the Integra logo I got off of Amazon. It's like 15 bucks. Pretty good buy in my opinion. The lower portion of the bumper here, I plasti-dipped black to break up the amount of red a little bit. Got a initial D plate frame just because, you know, whatever. The exhaust, I upgraded from Yanaka to a Tanabe Medallion Touring Catback right before they changed their name to Revel. And this sounds way better and should last a lot longer than the Yanaka Catback. Shot of the Progress kit. Here it is, no complaints. A very unique looking subframe brace. It's not very flashy. I like it a lot. Toned down colors. There's the coilovers. The rear lower control arms are OEM replacements, so the bushings are good. Everything's undercoated. There's the exhaust. It's a bit dirty, but whatever. Yeah. On this side of the car, ever since I had the car, there was rust right in this area, just like a tiny bit. And it did get a little bit worse over the years, but I chipped off the paint, I sanded it, and I just touched it up for the time being. I think about 3 months ago, I actually had it properly repaired. I had the metal cut out, a new piece welded in, and the whole rear quarter was painted. So I think it came out pretty good. Alright, now regarding my wheel and tire setup, these are Cozy K1s, obviously. They are 15x7 plus 38. And in the rear here, I have a 5mm spacer. And in the front, I have a 3mm spacer. Just to push it out a little bit, because I think it sits in a bit too far. My brakes are just from Rock Auto. I think the rotors are Wagner. And the pads are EBC Reds. I'll probably switch to Hawk HPS my next time around. I like those a lot better. And there's a replica of the OEM Integra 98-01 mud flap. I had a friend from college powder coat them white for me, and the color match stickers came from Spinny Whoosh, if anyone's curious. If you remember in my first car video, my side skirts were black. Since then, I've had them color matched, and at the bottom I've done a little easy lip just to add a little something and fill in the area there. I think it looks pretty good, not bad for 30 bucks. Here's an up-close shot of the front wheel. The powder coat is great, really smooth. I think the color is polar white from Prismatic Powders. The caliper there, I painted gold. It's the VHT gold. EBC Reds, like I mentioned before. Plans for the brakes, I'll probably end up doing the budget Type R setup with the CRV Prelude CL calipers, the Mini Cooper rotors, and the TSX pads. Yeah, switch to Hawk HPS when I do that. And I did make a little mud flap because my summer tires are really sticky and they kick up rocks. And if I have to drive in the salt, I have those just in case. Here are my summer wheels. Always wanted to have a set of 949 Racing 6ULs. The spec is 15x8 plus 36, and the tire is a 205/50 Federal 595 RSRR. They're not the greatest tires, but for a 200 tread wear, they don't wear very fast, and they're pretty sticky for, I guess, you know, driving on the street. But they're very, very loud on the highway, but I don't really mind. I did kind of get lost in the restoration sauce after I bought these. The lips I hand polished because they were pretty bad. That took about a day per wheel. And the centers are actually plasti dipped in, I think the color is selenite gray. I tried a few different grays, but this is the best balance between actually looking gray and being slightly metallic and not matte looking. Brand new valve stems too, just to match. I was always a big fan of the tire letters as well. I'll put in a couple pictures of what they look on the car. I love them on the car. Unfortunately, one of them is bent, but not to any noticeable degree while you're driving. It's just a small bend on the inside. For that reason, I kind of want to get rid of them. Been looking at to get a set of real wheels like T37s or Advent Racing TC4s, but I'm not sure if I want to spend the money right now. And I live in New Jersey, so the roads are pretty shit. So there's always that to think about, but maybe it'll happen. I'm not sure. At the front bumper, some of you may have noticed in the intro shot that the Integra logo wasn't there. I did have a slight mishap with this car. There was an accident. The whole car was repainted, fortunately. But at the time, I couldn't find an OEM bumper to use. So I had bought the aftermarket replacement. It really fit badly and it just looked really bad. The color was off a little bit. But luckily, I think about a year after that, I had that bumper. At the dealership, I found that they started to sell the OEM bumpers with the Integra logo. So I just bought one and had it painted. Color matches a lot better. And yeah. Clear corners, I think they're Anzo. And my fog lights. They're not OEM. They do look like OEM, which is why I, put them on. I have yellow bulbs in there. And they're just mounted to the same bracket that mounts the indicator lights. They work. They've been working really good. Had them on the car for years now, maybe 6 years, and they've never gone out, given me an issue. I got the switch mounted in the center console in the interior, and yeah, the headlights, I restore them probably once a year just to keep them nice and mint looking, sand them back, and polish them with the whatever kit I could find at the time, either Turtle Wax or 3M. Yeah, and the front lip. The front lip is from Basin R. It fits pretty good. No complaints there. And I have an easy lip running along the bottom of it just because I'd rather scrape that than a painted lip. I had the lip unpainted and I rocked that for many, many years, but when the whole car got painted, I bit the bullet and just decided to paint that too. Now for the interior of the car, I knew from the start I wanted to remain a bit reserved in terms of modifications here. The floor mats, I really like the checkered pattern. It reminds me a lot of AE86s and stuff from like Hot Version. The Perseverance sticker, Samurai Jack, just because I'm a fan of Samurai Jack. Hybrid Racing shifter, Circuit Hero shift knob. My radio is I think it's a Pioneer DMH 1500 NEX or something. It's the same one they used on Donut Media for the Miata. My steering wheel is a Momo Monte Carlo with custom polished bolts. The steering hub I used is from ASR because it allows you to keep the SRS reel in case I ever want to put the stock steering wheel back on. And I just have a polished NRG quick release. I think it's a 2.0. That's pretty much it for in here. Oh, in the back here I have a C-pillar bar just because. And still have the seat belts mounted up there. I'll probably upgrade to a PLM X bar whenever I can afford it. Got Kirby and Iron Man hanging from it just because. Some of you may have noticed from the last shot that I deleted the central locking switches. It still works and I still have the switches plugged in behind the actual door panel. But I feel like the switches being designed how they are and positioned where they are, somebody could just pull the window out, snake in a piece of wire, and pull the thing up, and the door's gonna lock. And I feel like that's a big contributing factor to why many Integras got stolen back in the day. So yeah, there's that. I've got an oil pressure gauge, and I've got this trim that I think is a replica of a Mugen piece that I found on eBay. They don't have it anymore, and I think for an eBay piece, it fits and it looks really, really good. I've also upgraded to LEDs in the cluster, And even though the car's stick, I still have the automatic park, reverse, neutral drive thing. What else? The center console here, this piece is actually the automatic piece that I modified and cut to fit a shift boot, and I wrapped it in silver vinyl just because silver's kind of the theme here. I think it looks pretty good. All the interior amenities still work in the car except for cruise control due to the auto to manual swap. The sunroof still works, no issues there, no leaks. The shift linkage I bought brand new from Honda when I did the swap. The hybrid racing shifter, I'd say it's above average in terms of feel, but something to think about is that it does rattle when changing gears sometimes. I've had both K-tune shifters and an OEM shifter. I'll probably give IRP a shot next if I decide to try something out. And as a bonus, I do have a little bit of rice in this interior. Gotta turn these on. I got a switch right here. Get some footwell lights. I've always been a fan of this look. I like it a lot. It reminds me of Hot Wheels Acceleracers from back in the day. If anybody remembers that, leave it in the comments. Now, what is probably the biggest change from that my first car video is that the car is now not automatic, and it's running a JDM 1997 spec Integra Type R engine and a GSR LSD transmission. And additionally, I've replaced every maintenance item you can imagine on this car. Just get up close here in the engine bay, give you guys a look at what's going on. All the minor scratches on the paint in the bay just from working on the car I do plan to touch up at some point, but it's January right now and it's cold, so I'll probably wait till the summer. I'm still rocking the same strut bar from the first car video, my first car video. The only difference is I've painted the mounting brackets wrinkle black because I'm a big fan of wrinkle black. The battery tie down I also made wrinkle black, and the bumper support I've also made wrinkle black just because. And if you notice, all these bolts are brand new zinc plated bolts. They all came from a company called Resto Tuner. I'll put a link in the description to their site. I highly recommend doing this to any 90s Honda project. I'll talk about the intake setup now, I guess, even though it's kind of minor. K&N filter. It's the same intake as my first car video, but I painted it wrinkle black. And it goes to a Skunk 2 manifold, and the only reason I'm not running the OEM manifold is because it cracked on me during the swap, so that's kind of annoying, but whatever. Stock injectors, I do have an upgraded fuel pump, a Walbro 255. It works as it should, no complaints there. Painted the brackets for all the accessories. I have the AC compressor still mounted, but the belt's off right now because the compressor clutch is bad. I need to change that. Hasport mounts. I do have a Hasport mount on this side, and the auto to manual Hasport mount over here. I just painted this one wrinkle black because I got it used, and wrinkle black blends in well. The rear mount, though, the rear mount is an OEM mount that I filled with window well to try and mitigate some of the vibrations, and the two side mounts, the one off the transmission there, and the one off the brackets, those are both OEM replacements. I think they're Beck Arnley is the name. Yeah, ABS still there, OEM radiator. What else is there to talk about? My upper control arms are blocks just because the OEM ones were old and the ball joints were bad. The stock manifold, I just painted the heat shield silver. I do have a total replica header to go on the car, but I have to weld up a 2.5-inch MagnetFlow cat to get all that situated. Have a welder right there. I'll tackle that at some point. Now the transmission I'll talk a little bit about. OEM GSR LSD, brass synchros. The flywheel is an ACT Streetlight flywheel. It's a 12-pound flywheel compared to the OEM Type R 15-pound flywheel, so it doesn't throw off the balance of the engine too much. It's a nice little upgrade. The clutch I've been using since the LS manual swap. It's a XD B-Series OEM clutch. No complaints there. Highly recommend it. Um, the VTEC solenoid cover is from a company called APC. I just like it because it's polished and there's no branding on it. The spark plug cover is PLM, I'm pretty sure. Um, oil cap just generic. I didn't like the way the OEM black one looked because, the JDM Type R's have the silver one, so I just figured let me just hop that on there real quick. I'll probably get a spoon one eventually, and maybe I'll get another brand radiator cap. Just thinking about what other minor stuff I could tell you about. The ECU situation, I guess, because I converted the car to stick shift, I had to convert from OBD2B to OBD2A. So a 97 spec engine was basically perfect for me because it's OBD2A. So in the car, I just have my adapter harness and a JDM P73 ECU. No complaints about that. Works fine. I'm not one to want that much more power. I think this is very sufficient. So I'll probably just leave that as is. Just nice and OEM plus. Um, minor stuff. The Integra Type R's have a block stiffener / flywheel cover. I did purchase one of those from HMO as well. That's on the car. I did feel the difference, and I recommend it to anybody with a B series. Also, I guess I could talk to you about my troubles with axles. I had a very hard time finding a set of aftermarket axles that didn't vibrate. These aren't upgraded, they're just from an auto store. But AutoZone, they vibrated like crazy. Advanced Auto, they vibrated like crazy. Rock Auto, same thing. So these axles on the car have treated me very, very well, and they're from O'Reilly's. So I recommend that to anybody who's looking. My half shaft is from Yanaka, just because the bearing in my OEM one went bad, and that was the only one available at the time. No complaints there. Just gonna try and keep it clean. So, yeah, there it is, my first car, 8 years later. Made a lot of memories with it, met a lot of people, made a lot of friends, learned a lot of skills, very happy about all of those. Um, don't ever want to sell it, probably never will. I get offers all the time, get compliments all the time too whenever I drive it. Um, Unfortunately, it's gotten to the point where I've put so much effort and time in that I'm afraid to drive it, even though I know there's still small improvements to be made here and there, but anything can happen and I'm just wary of it. I do have a daily driver. Maybe I'll make a video on that because it's kind of cool, I guess, if you're a Honda guy. But for now, thanks for watching.